Very seldom are games able to achieve the same effects on the player that the game Fear and Hunger is able to. I have played a lot of video games in my time, and Fear and Hunger is the top 3, if not top 2, darkest and most disturbing games that I have ever played. I should warn you, before you continue to watch this video or watch any content of or play the game itself, that this game deals with intense violence, gore, nudity, as well as sexual violence, and I would not recommend this for anyone under the age of 18 years old. Developed by Miro Havarinen and published by Happy Paintings, Fear and Hunger was released on December 11th, 2018 as a dungeon-crawling survival horror game. The game is set in an alternate Europe in the year 1590. With the choice of 1 of 4 different playable characters, each with their own backstory, personality, and skill sets, the chosen protagonist's mission is to search for and rescue a famous mercenary captain by the name Lagarde from the depths of the dungeons of Fear and Hunger itself. The prison dungeons are not what they seem, and have corrupted, warped, and transformed the prison guards and prisoners within by an unknown sinister force. The game has you focus on 3 major game mechanics that are essential for the protagonist's survival. These are body, hunger, and mind. Your body level starts off at 100, and if it drops to 0 from being injured by enemy attacks or from sustaining multiple injuries, as well as other dangerous injuries from booby traps or falls, you die and the game ends. You can also sustain dangerous ailments from injuries such as bleeding, poisoning, infections, blindness, and several others, including missing and crippled limbs from enemy attacks and hazardous falls. Even if you do survive an enemy encounter or an injury from a booby trap, ailments can and will kill you if not treated for in a timely manner. Various items such as cloth fragments can be used to stop bleeding, white vials will neutralize poisons in the body, green herbs cure infections, and so on and so forth. These items can be found by searching and scavenging through boxes, barrels, shelves, and other places found throughout the dungeons. Hunger is another important factor that must be dealt with in the dungeons. If you go too long without food, your protagonist, as well as any other party members you recruit, will start suffering negative health effects from lack of nourishment, causing the characters' bodies to weaken, lowering their combat capabilities. Eventually, this will lead to the body shutting down, resulting in the eventual loss of function of your lower limbs, followed by blindness, shortly ending in death from starvation. Needless to say, you need to keep your characters well fed with whatever food you can find in the bowels of the dungeons. Mind is another important factor that must be dealt with. The dungeons themselves have a negative effect on the minds of the protagonist and their team members. If it goes too low, the protagonist and their party members' combat performance will significantly suffer, with their ability to evade attacks and do damage to foes significantly dropping. If it goes too low, your party members will start to abandon your team, and you will either need to convince them to continue on, or give them mind-relaxant substances such as alcohol to drink, tobacco or opium to smoke, or various potions to restore their minds. Just remember though, in real life, when it comes to excessive drinking, tobacco use, and especially drug use, you always lose. There is no winning. The other less desirable alternative is to be forced to leave them behind, where if left untreated, they will surely die. This is not a game where you level up and get stronger after fighting. The game encourages you to avoid enemy encounters and to run away whenever possible from fights. You also have to be careful to watch where you step and where you go. You need to be cautious and play things smart if you want to have any chance of surviving in this unforgiving world of pain and misery. Sometimes you will have no choice but to fight an enemy, either because they are preventing you from moving forward in your journey, or because you are unable to escape from the encounter. Fighting enemies isn't as straightforward in Fear and Hunger as you might think. Sometimes in order to leave an enemy's torso or head open for attack, or to prevent you or your party from losing limbs or receiving other serious damage, you will have to target their limbs. An example would be targeting the enemy's weapon-carrying arm so that they are unable to use their weapon against you. This is a very brutal and unforgiving game where if you mess up or act foolishly, this game will truly make you pay for it. Leap down into a really deep hole and you will find your limbs crushed, being forced to crawl for the rest of the game. Get blinded by an enemy, the game screen will go black and you will be forced to grope through the dark. You will be tested not only on resource and time management as your stats constantly deplete, but also your strategy to staying alive and navigating the labyrinth of the dungeons. You must upgrade your gear by picking up body armor and weaponry to defend yourself with. Curse them to make them even deadlier, and give you whatever edge you can get to stay alive. Sometimes you will have to make really tough choices, and whether you like it or not, even make sacrifices to survive. That means even resorting to drastic measures as a last measure, such as sawing off an infected limb from yourself or another comrade, and using cloth to bandage it up to avoid death by infection. That may mean even taking risks such as eating rotten meat to avoid starvation, even if it means having to deal with food poisoning and parasites later on. You might need to leave comrades behind to conserve resources, and even be forced to resort to cannibalism to avoid death by starvation. In really desperate situations, you can even perform rituals to merge two party members into one body to cure ailments and make them even more powerful, as gruesome and grotesque as that is. At certain points in the game, you can even betray and sacrifice your own party members, and even sell them if they are children to obtain weapons or various other supplies. I wasn't lying when I told you this game is incredibly brutal and unforgiving. It makes you question how far one is willing to go to stay alive. Another very interesting and suspenseful game mechanic that takes place in Fear and Hunger is luck. Whether you are searching for books or scrolls on shelves, or for weapons and armor on armory tables, sometimes a coin flip will take place where you must choose either heads or tails. This gives you a 50% chance of getting either heads or tails, thus determining whether you find something good or not, or nothing at all. You can increase your chances significantly by using any found lucky coins during coin tosses to toss 2 coins instead of 1 to better your odds. Sometimes in battle, a coin flip will happen. This is where things get really intense and scary. Winning or losing at a coin toss in battle can often determine whether your protagonist or other party members may dodge a fatal attack or are instantly killed on the spot. If you have any lucky coins, you can use them in battle coin tosses as well to help better your odds of surviving an instant kill. As for the game's graphics, they are typical and nothing special in terms of something you would find in an RPG Maker style game. I found in combat though, the art designs are much more detailed and very well designed, doing the characters and enemies justice, giving the game more depth, detail, and atmosphere. As for the music, it served its purpose and definitely did the job with some very intense songs to create the atmosphere. It wasn't something major to write home about. I did enjoy the soundtrack for when you are facing major bosses, as it is very intense, creating a very serious atmosphere, giving the boss encounters more of a significant impact and epic battle justice. As for saving in Fear and Hunger, you can either sleep in a bed to save your progress, or read a book of enlightenment. If you find a bed in the dungeons and it is safe, you can sleep in it and save your progress. Other times, either because the area isn't safe, or because you have already slept in a bed once, you will have to do a coin toss to determine whether you are able to sleep and save your progress successfully, or whether you will be attacked by an enemy in your sleep. As for books of enlightenment, you can save on the spot safely, but once you've done so, the book will crumble into ashes, being a one-time use item. There are multiple endings to the game. In my first walkthrough, I found Lagarde deep down in the crypt in a cell, having been killed, since I didn't make it to him in time. If you make it to his location in 30 minutes or less, he will be alive. Unfortunately, I wasn't quick enough to save him. This leaves you with 2 choices. Either leave and return to the surface and escape the dungeons, or continue to delve deeper into the depths. In my first walkthrough, I chose to escape the dungeons, receiving ending E. In my second walkthrough, I made a major discovery through reading several discarded documents throughout the dungeons. I learned that I could actually become a god. A literal god. I made the significant decision to press onward into the depths. I entered the ancient city of Mahabre and proceeded to risk it all, taking on and killing off the new god standing in my way. When there was no one left to oppose me, I sat upon the golden throne, transforming and ascending into godhood. Despite this incredible ending, having achieved godhood itself, I had to ask, what did it cost? In the process of achieving godhood, I had become power-hungry, killing many foes to obtain their souls to create better weapons and achieve greater power. I had killed several gods that stood in my way. What right did I have to take their lives? I had even committed murder, wrongfully taking the lives of other people who posed no threat to me in the dungeons to take their gear for better protection and power. Several of my comrades even died while supporting me in my mission to achieve my dream, when we could have all lived by just leaving the dungeons behind. No doubt this game deals with the depravity and cruelty that humans can inflict upon others, due to the evil part of human nature that all human beings possess, whether we choose to admit it or not. It also deals with how far one is willing to go to survive, and how much a person is willing to risk and sacrifice in order to achieve their dreams. I do not recommend this game to anyone who is under the age of 18 years of age, or who may be sensitive to the contents of this game. For those who want a major challenging gaming experience, and have a taste for games with a dark and intense atmosphere with unforgiving and brutal gameplay mechanics, this is definitely the game for you. Although this was just a fictitious game, I found that in a strange way, as I was playing this masterpiece of a game, a part of me had descended into darkness while journeying into the depths of the dungeons of fear and hunger itself.